What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how to win the early stages of becoming a barber. This kind of branches off from my last post on Instagram. There was a lot of feedback on just the start and how everyone feels when they get into it, of just not knowing or being afraid of posting their current work. And one thing that I remember when I got into the industry is we didn't have as many distractions when I started because Instagram wasn't really big at the time that I got in. All we had was a couple YouTube videos to look into in learning how to do a haircut. But now there is so much more available. I made a list of things that I wanted to talk to you guys about to kind of help you guys maybe get a little bit more comfortable with where you're at. All right, so let's get started. I made a list of things that I wanted to talk to you guys about that I think have helped me understand where I'm at, and also allowing me to not feel like I was behind or thinking that I wasn't good enough. Because I think what you have to remember too is that no matter who you are, barbering is a skill that you acquire. There is nothing you can do that is a natural born given talent from when you start that you would just perfectly complete a haircut with no flaws. There's absolutely no way. Barbering for me particularly has been a very difficult skill to learn and progress over the years. It's been a hard journey, but a very fulfilled journey. And I always want to help you guys understand it from a different perspective that maybe will help you become more comfortable with where you're at. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about, cutting hair for the first time and what that experience was like. I've talked a little bit about this before, but not as in depth as I wanted to. So I'm gonna do that here today. When I first started cutting hair, my first fade took me about 2 hours. I was really stressed out. I had no idea. I kind of just jumped right into it. This was me transitioning from a salon to a barbershop. The first client wanted shortcuts. The best thing about being in a barbershop environment is that you're forced to do all of the shortcuts. There was nothing that came in that was a longer cut. You were forced to learn how to do shortcuts because that is what everybody got. So through repetition of going over and over and over it again, you become better at what you do. The more practice you get in anything that you put your energy towards, that's gonna grow, that's gonna develop, that's gonna get cleaner. I was really nervous at that first cut, but there was something about it that I remember that was so fun that it made me want to keep going. And maybe that's why I've been able to invest so much more time into barbering than I did in the salon world, because I felt like even back in school, I had always gravitated towards doing short hair, and everybody in school knew that I loved doing it. So even my classmates would pass me all the short clients so that I can do them. So listen to those internal things that are telling you just the same way that it told me that I really enjoyed doing shortcuts over long cuts. Entering the barbershop environment, you can believe that it's very scary, uncomfortable, new. I was going from women clientele to men clientele, so I had to learn how to conversate with guys, think of things that we could talk about that would make the appointment itself not feel so draining. Over time, you just got to do it. I think that's the key, is to not think about it so much and just kind of put action to it. I'd start with the usual questions, right? Where are you coming from? Where are you from? What do you do for a living? What kind of shows you watch? Things that I would do, I would ask them. And usually we kind of find some sort of common ground somewhere where I can build a conversation off of that. Because I think when you make it fun for them, even if you are struggling, which is what I was going through, I was able to distract them in conversation so that I could focus on what I was doing at the same time. But I realized too that when you are learning, it took a while for me to get to that stage. So going into the barbershop first, I didn't talk as much because I was trying to understand what I was doing. I was still going through the learning stages of understanding my steps and my process before I was able to maintain a balance in having conversations with all my clients. Over time, I realized, my boss came up to me one day and was like, hey, you need to talk to your clients. They look uncomfortable from a distance. And honestly, once I started to open up and start to ask those questions down that list of the regular questions that I would start with, it became easier as my skill sets are growing, right? I'm able to cut hair and multitask at the same time to where it was enjoying for them. And at the same time, I start to see the return because they would tip me more because of the connection that we were starting to make. So then it almost pushed me to ask more questions, to get to know these people, because I saw that because they enjoyed it, they were always leaving bigger tips than when I wasn't talking to them and just doing a good haircut. So when you mix both of those things, that's when I started learning that the experience of those sessions are actually really helpful. The same way that you go to a restaurant, if you have really good service, you tip a little more because you just like them so much. You enjoyed that they were attentive, that they took care of you, versus like you just going in there, they're doing the bare minimum, you give a basic tip. It's the same difference. So because we're in the service industry, just remember to also think about that experience and how you can make that better, because you got to do what you got to do in those time frames, especially when you're learning, to find that balance of when you can cut hair and maintain a conversation, even though it feels really uncomfortable and you don't know what to do. Just think about the things that you do on the daily and ask them those same questions until you find something that sticks, and then you can have them talk about it. The easiest thing is to get them to talk about themselves, because then it could go on forever. I would always ask them what they do, how they got into it, just off of a work question. How did you get into this job field that you're in? What does it mean to you? Do you enjoy doing it? The list goes on in just that subject. So they're able to kind of continuously talk about what they do while I'm able to kind of like really get the details into my cut. And that was a way for me to kind of work through that. Not being overly critical of posting your work. This is something I see a lot of people say online when they're like, I'm not going to post it because I'm not there yet. The thing is, and what really helped me, was that I just posted it. People would talk shit on it sometimes, but it was a way for me to get more critical of my work before I even took that picture now. Because now people are like, oh, I see this hair that's out of place. Sometimes it is not a useful comment of someone saying your work isn't good, but at the same time, it allows you a moment in time to also look at it from a different direction. I was able to see those flaws even more critical because I knew people were going to look for those things. So it made me better actually as I'm working through it. Now I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I analyze this so well to the best that I could do at the moment, because that's another thing. In each phase of your haircutting journey, you're going to go through new developments in your eye where you can pick up things that stand out to you. For example, when I reflect back on this old haircut here, this picture right here, this is a taper that I did 8 years ago. I had just posted this. Everybody was like loving this because it made them realize that we all start in the same exact place, right? So in this picture, I took it. If I took the picture, I thought it was good. I posted this to the Yelp account that I was working at as a way to promote my work. Now, present day Sofie is looking at this like, wow, there's a lot of flaws in this. And that's because my eyes have changed over time to learn how to see those things in real time and be able to fix it on the spot, versus before, I'm only seeing what I could understand in that moment, because that's not something you also can learn pretty quickly. It's your intention to learn those things. So in that moment, my whole goal was always to get those haircuts better. And the best thing about working in a barbershop is that you're dealing with fade and taper skin clients who naturally will want to come back faster, because once those lines grow back in, everything, the frame is gone, so they're going to come back faster. So the repeat customers come a lot quicker than like your longer hairstyle clients. The short ones helped me grow because they would come in more frequently, and I was able to practice so often on the same person that I could actually watch the progression happen as I cut their hair each week or every 2 weeks. I took pictures all the time. That was another way for me to learn how to use that as a tool to help me compare my work. And when I say compare, I don't mean you want to compare your current work and you're wishing it was something else. It was using something that you can visually see at that time that was a good blend, right? Say it was a mid-fade. I'm using that mid-fade as a way for me to compare my mid-fade, and I would be able to look at both of those cuts and see, okay, next time, I got to stretch my skin line a little higher. And I was able to understand the steps and how to make my transitions in my haircut look closer to the one I'm comparing it to. And it helped me kind of like benchmark, okay, if I want to get my haircuts here, I need to match where the guides are and where the blending zones are. And the more you do it, you can actually see, all right, this section right here, you got your skin line area, your foil shaver. Here you got your clipper, no guard. So I would use those pictures as a benchmark of how to get my work to the next phase. Social media has also taught us how to find and gauge a good haircut from a great haircut. You know, before you didn't have that comparison as easy to find as you would find on your phone today. Now you have those tools where you can see, not only does it teach us as barbers and stylists, it's also teaching clients how to find a difference between a really good haircut and a really bad haircut. They can visually see, even if they don't understand it, they can visually see the blend, and it's kind of educating everybody at once. So to finish off that part, don't be overly critical. Appreciate where you are, because what that does is that it allows you to be accountable for your work at your current place so that you can accept it, know where you need work, which is building your self-awareness for it, and then being able to work towards that every single day. I wasn't afraid to post anything because I knew that it was a way for me to say, hey, this is what I'm at, this is where I'm at right now. But inside my daily schedule, it was something that I knew that I was going to get better at every day anyways. The progress is going to continue to happen while I had those pictures to market myself to the people that I was trying to build a clientele for. So they had something to look at. It was good for what it was. And as I grew, I was able to scale it better and better each time, because also in that process, you're learning how to take better pictures of your haircut. You're learning how to do better videos of your haircut. The idea behind just posting a picture of your work isn't just a picture of your work. It acts as many different things that it could do for your business. Learning how to use things to check your work. So for most barbers, we use the mirror. What we can't see with our eyes, you can always use the mirror as a second checkpoint to check your work. Sometimes when we're so close and we're so focused on the same spot, we kind of forget the picture, and you become almost kind of hypnotized into one little section, or even cross-eyed because you've been staring at the same spot for so long. So when you step back and you're able to look at the mirror, which is usually facing against the haircut, because we work on that same side and we constantly rotate, you're able to see it in this mirror as a whole, because it's not going to lie to you. And you're going to see all the darkness and the flaws in the head, because that's another challenge of doing really short haircuts, especially down to the skin, is that you are dealing with a lot of dents. You're dealing with a lot of different hair densities all over the place. And now you can see it. So aside from using a mirror, I started using my iPhone 4 or 5 at the time. I was using that. And when you take that picture, there is no space for it to even pretend that it doesn't exist. It's going to capture everything that you didn't see before. And that one was the real test, because when I saw those pictures on my phone, I was like, how did I not see that? But what that does is that now it's teaching you how to see it in real time. So now when I do those haircuts, I can see things that I know my iPhone would pick up, because I was doing it so much that it taught me how to train myself. And then if you want to take that to another notch up, get yourself a DSLR camera. It doesn't have to be a super expensive one, but something better than your iPhone. I started off with a Canon T3i Rebel. This was back in maybe, I'd say like 8 years ago now. And that was just going to take the depth and the quality up a few notches from your iPhone. And now you can really, really capture it and train yourself really well to kind of catch those things in real time. So then as you do it so much, you learn how to almost, I guess, photo edit in real time, and being able to capture any of those densities and learn how to match gradients in the blend to make it look really effortless and soft. The one thing that makes it all better is that you doing more reps in haircuts. I think I'm definitely way over 10,000 hours of haircuts by now. Is that it allows you to practice over and over and over again, which makes you better, which helps you gain more confidence. Repetition is huge, especially when it comes to blending and learning how to do skin fades and skin tapers. I was doing those every single day, 6 days a week, 8 to 12 hour shifts for me to get to a decent place to where my hands would just move and I didn't have to think about it anymore. You want to get to that effortless stage, and there's 4 levels of learning that I will talk about in a different video, but that would be the last phase, to where you're not stressed out about it anymore. You're now at the place where you can enjoy the process because you've done it so much. You've built enough muscle memory that your hands can kind of go at its own pace, and you being able to also now conversate and make the experience better for your clients. Here's a couple tools to kind of recap that would help. The mirror, the iPhone, the DSLR camera. And then last but not least, this is something I do, but not very often, and I also want to make sure I'm not too much about it, is to ask somebody that you respect to check out your work. And I don't mean to do this in a way that it's like all the time, every single day, but find a place and time where maybe there's an exchange. Maybe you're doing something to help somebody else first, and in return, like, hey, do you mind checking my work? And let me know what you think. I think when you come across being able to try to see where you can give, I think it's a little bit easier to ask for those things versus sometimes I see this online all the time where people are just throwing their work at me and asking me to check their work. And if I had to check all the work from all the DMs that I get, there would be an endless amount of things. So look for a proper time to do it with people that you work with, or people that are nearby, or people that you can connect with on a closer level, and just use them as mirrors to reflect back on your current work. You know, I would look for the guys that I would work with. I would ask them, I'm like, hey, if you don't mind, like, hey, I could help you with this, but like, can you check this and let me know what you think? Or better yet, this is another thing I like to do, is also ask people that actually aren't barbers, how do they see this? Because then you're getting a different perspective. And I think the more perspectives you can understand and build off of, it's going to improve the way you see it. And it's going to improve the way it looks to you, and you can find new ways to make it better from a general eye versus a technical eye. So kind of use a little bit of both. And how to progress in your post, because this is another thing that happens too for a lot of people that are starting off, is that they don't want to post their work. But my thing is, don't overthink it. If you thought about it, you do obviously care. Post it and let it go. This is something I still battle with, but one thing that has helped me is that I post it and I let it go. I let it do its own thing. I thought about it. It was something I wanted to share. Whether it's good or not, it was something that I believed in and that I was proud of. And that is something that you gotta also share and just let it go, because you still need to use those pieces to market to new clientele. So just post it and let it go. Style-wise, it's a different taste for everybody. I don't think there is one way of saying this is a good haircut or this is a bad haircut. It's all depends on the person. It depends on who's asking and who wants it. You know, there's no right or wrong way of looking at it. And also realize, last but not least, is that many of us share the same fears when it comes to posting our work that we think is not good. Everyone has a different flavor when it comes to the different styles that they do. So there is no wrong or right way of doing it. It's what you believe it to be and how you make people happy with it. So if you are happy with that, you should share it. You should use it as a way to market yourself. And the more you do this, you're going to notice a difference in the way people see you. Because when we doubt ourselves, the clients are going to doubt us too. So if we believe these are good, and you know you've worked really hard to get it to that point, the way you took the picture, however long it took for you to get that cut perfectly sized and detailed so that you could take a good picture, be proud of that and put that out there, because that's what people are going to appreciate and read through that energy and what it took for you to create that piece. I hope this helps. If you guys have any other questions about any of the stuff we talked about in this video, let me know, put some comments, and leave me some feedback. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you next time.